Welcome back everyone, and as always I hope you had a great day. And for this video we are doing some analysis and going balls deep on one of our favorite anime of all time, Fullmetal Alchemist. Today is continuing our science series which applies science to anime. It's been a while since we have covered this anime. I believe the last time we discussed Fullmetal Alchemist was regarding the racial themes, regarding characters from minority backgrounds, and that was a year ago. I definitely would love for you guys to watch it after this video, as it will give you kind of a better understanding of Fullmetal Alchemist with the message it wants to tell its viewers. Now, whilst we all love Fullmetal Alchemist, and I'm pretty sure 9 out of 10 of you that have clicked on this video would agree when I say it could be in your top 10 anime of all time, I know for a fact whilst watching the anime, if you think like me, this question must have popped in your heads regarding alchemy. Is it possible? Is it a real concept? So as always, be sure to let me know your opinion and questions regarding Fullmetal Alchemist in the comment section below, and make sure to smash the like button if you do enjoy the video by the end of it, right? So let's cue the intro, let's get this started. So before we get started, it's best that we are all on the same page and understand what an alchemist even is. What does alchemy even mean? Well, the word alchemy itself is derived from the medieval Latin word alchemia. The Latin word is then derived from the Arabic alchemia. In real life, the Islamic alchemy formed the basis for medieval alchemy. The Arabic word alchemia has roots in ancient Egypt with the word chem, meaning black earth. The root word of chem is kemet from ancient Egypt language. So what I'm trying to say is, alchemy pretty much dates back to the ancient times and is still relevant till this day. In layman's terms, alchemy is pretty much a very old study and philosophy on how to change basic substance into other substances, along with the study on how these substances can change. Now, although alchemy is similar to chemistry, it's still very different, in the sense that it was related to the study of composition of matter and the transformation it undergoes, but its roots were firmly in the realms of the supernatural and unknown, such as spirituality, philosophy, and even magic. However, one could also say alchemy was chemistry for the people of the past, since it's how they viewed the world at the time, and the people who studied this alchemy were known as alchemists. Alchemists believed that all of these things like substances, mind, philosophies, religion, magic and astrology were all related to each other. They believed if they could find the connection between them, then they could have a better understanding of the others, and overall a better understanding of life itself. Even certain objects to some alchemists had a very deeper meaning, such as gold and silver, which was seen to represent spiritual or occult ideas. And alchemy wasn't really bonded by region either, rather it was actually studied by many countries with different cultures. Now, with all of that said, the primary objective of the ones who dwelled into alchemy were more aimed towards pursuing material gains, such as achieving precious gold and silver with the transformation of mercury, and base metals such as lead, copper and zinc. Some alchemists even went further into the pursuit by trying to solve solutions for even the likes of death and sickness by creating the elixir of eternal life, along with the philosopher's stone that we see in the anime being mentioned all the time. This is where the inspiration of the philosopher's stone in Fullmetal Alchemist even comes from. I will definitely make a video regarding its history if you guys comment below that you want it and there's enough support for it. Anyways, despite many of the futile attempts creating a philosopher's stone in real life, the early alchemists were still considered as pre-modern scientists. They even established a system for the identification and organization of different substances, which ended up being a framework for the creation of the modern periodic table we see today in chemistry. So now that we have explained what alchemy actually is, and now that we are all on the same page, let's ask the question finally, if the alchemist in the anime, is it really possible in real life? Is it something that makes sense scientifically? The answer to that question is kind of yes and no. In some ways, some of the alchemy we see in the anime is plausible, such as Mustang's fire, whereas the other stuff we may see leans more towards anime logic and magic. Let's quickly debrief the scientific basis of the magic known as alchemy in the anime. Fullmetal Alchemist explains that there are 3 steps into transmutation and it's quite complex. The first being comprehension, understanding the structure and the properties of the atomic or molecular makeup of a particular material, which essentially means what are you aiming to do and what are you doing it with. The second step is deconstruction, using the energy to break down the physical structure of the material into a more malleable state so it can be reshaped into a new form, which means again to break down the material into something you actually want. And the third step is reconstruction, continuing the flow of energy so as to reform the material into a new shape, meaning to put everything back together, right? On top of these 3 steps, there are 2 basic laws that every transmutation alchemist must perform in the anime. Law of the conservation of mass. Matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed to the point of non-existence. And number 2 is the law of natural providence. You can only make something that has the same properties of the initial material. So alchemy, as it is understood in the Fullmetal Alchemist series, the ancient metaphysical science and mystical art of manipulating and altering matter by using natural energy. This is what it means by transmutation, where the dictionary meaning would be the action of changing or the state of being changed into another form. Hopefully I haven't lost you guys by this point in the video. Hopefully you understood everything that I have said so far, but basically the application of performing transmutation requires fully understanding of chemistry and the ancient alchemy theory, but also a sort of natural talent towards recognizing and manipulating the physical objects with energy, which requires a level of intelligence and aptitude. This is why we don't see too many alchemists in the anime roaming around, and it's something regarded as very special and it's a special job, right? This is when you are called an alchemist, such as Edward Elric. The law of equivalent exchange in Fullmetal Alchemist, in my opinion, is fantastic writing, because not only does it create great universe building in the writing of the show, but it also fits the real world if you think about it. For example, the 2 rules of mass and providence are almost exactly direct parallel of how the laws of matter and energy we currently know works in modern science today. Okay, now let's try to understand the science and chemistry of the alchemy news within the series. When the alchemists in the anime perform a transmutation, they first have to realize what substances they have to work with. This is of particular importance because the standard alchemists cannot make atoms from nothing, so the atoms for anything they create have to come from the alchemist and or the surrounding environment. Once the alchemist has the material for the transmutation, the existing substances are then broken down to a molecular level, briefly reducing the substance to its component atoms. These atoms are then put back together into a new substance. Going back to our example of Roy Mustang's flame, he produces this by breaking down the water vapor and carbon dioxide in the air to make the fuel for his signature flame alchemy attack that he uses all the time. Another example is the iron blood alchemist Bas Grant, who breaks down and manipulates the iron in his own blood for his transmutations, but let's stick with Colonel Roy Mustang flame alchemy for this explanation. Leaving the energy that drives his alchemy out of it, we will be looking at the actual chemistry he is using when he outbursts his flames. The basis of the flame alchemy comes from the manipulation of the compounds present in the air in order to create a flame using a spark from Mustang's signature gloves. If you remember equivalent exchange or the law of conservation of matter, then we know that the chemicals that he used to make those attacks must be able to be made from the elements present in the air, right? So let's assume that the atmosphere of Fullmetal Alchemist, the city that we are in, Amistris, is similar to Earth's, with around 21% oxygen, 0.04% of carbon dioxide, 0.002% of methane, and 0.01% to 0.05% of water, depending on the local atmospheric conditions, of course. There are other elements, but they don't really contribute to the ignition of the flame that Mustang always uses. So within the data books, it has been stated that Colonel Mustang uses his flame alchemy to break down the water to create hydrogen gas. The hydrogen can be then mixed with oxygen and ignited to create a powerful explosion that Mustang always uses. This is basic chemistry and it really does work. So does this mean that alchemy abides by our world science? Well, not exactly, not 100%. Just because there is a couple of scientific working examples, it doesn't rule out that the improbable alchemic reactions that take place within the series. But aside from the main issue is the act of transmutation itself by the use of transmutation circle or array. In a real life explanation, the transmutation circle itself is like an energy conductor and an energy converter, where the circle can allow the user to tap into the flow of the world's energy that already exists within the earth and matter. The circle then converts the available energy into energy that can be manipulated by the user, basically a universal form of energy. So to answer the question, if alchemy can exist in real life, then I would say yes, only if humans can build a technology that works similar to the transmutation cycle that we always see. Scientifically, it's more plausible than you think. Like Roy Mustang's, what he is doing isn't really far-fetched, but what other people are doing, what Edward Elric was doing, is anime logic. So that pretty much sums up the video. I hope you understood everything that I was saying. This was really balls deep. If you enjoyed the video and you want us to do more Fullmetal Alchemist videos, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and follow us on social media. See you next time.